Hi, today I want to talk about the 5 upgrades that you can do to your GX470 to make it more trail worthy. And I'm gonna go in order in how I think they should be done. And the first one is your tires and wheels. The second one will be your suspension. The third one will be your rock sliders. And the fourth one is your recovery. And fifth would be your skid plates. So I'll talk to about these things in that order, because I do think that that is the order that you should be upgrading your GX470 to make it more trail worthy. So first, let's talk about the wheels and tires. So first, I'll talk about what I have. So I have the Ridge Grapplers in a 285/70 R17, and these tires are actually really good off-road, but one of the issues with getting a bigger tire is that you do have to do a lot of mods in order to get it to fit. And there was some trimming to the wheel well on that side. I also had to get an upper control arm so that it wouldn't hit the tire, and I could move the wheel forward a little bit. And then the other thing that happens is that the wheel, this 285/70 R17, if you convert it to inches, it's about a 32.7 inch high wheel, tall wheel by 11.2 inches. So if I had to do it over, and the wheels, these are also 17/9, and they have a -12 offset. So what the offset does is that the stock rims, the wheel is further in, and it's a +25, and so when you get a negative offset, the wheel comes out, and so this is -12. But I don't recommend that you get a 17/9. I think that a more versatile wheel will be like a 17/8.5 with a 0 or a -10 offset, and I think that would be the perfect wheel for the GX470. And the reason why that's a better wheel size is because it allows you to go with the bigger tires, like these 285/70 R17s, or you could also go to a skinnier tire, like a 285/75 R17. So, or no, that would be the other one, the 255/80 R17. So that allows you to get a taller tire but narrower. And so since I already have these 17/9 wheels, when these tires go out, I may try a 33/10.5. So what that does is the tire will be about 2/3 of an inch narrower, and by having a narrower tire, maybe I won't rub. If you can see, it rubs a little bit on the sway bar, and it also rubs on full turn. Well, on the driver's side, you can see it hitting it hits the body, the frame. So it hits right there. So I'm hoping that by going to a 33/10.5 tire, which is essentially the same height but narrower by 2/3 of an inch, maybe I won't be rubbing against the body. All right, so that's tires and wheels. I do think that getting a good set of tires and wheels, it's probably the #1 thing you should do to make your rig trail worthy. The second thing that you should be doing is the suspension, and let's start with the rear. I actually did a coil conversion, so I have the Dobinson coils back there. If you can see that, these are a variable rate coil, and the model number for these springs are C59-675V, and they're really meant to be stock weight. so you get a nice lift. I got about 2.5 inches lift when empty, but as soon as I start adding weight, they actually sag a little bit too much. And I also got the Icon 56 550s, and these shocks are extended travel, and compressed they're about 17 inches, and extended they're about 28.5 inches. So in order to make it travel a little bit more, I did replace the rear end link sway bar, or the sway bar end link, and this one is from my 4Runner, and it does it's about an inch longer, and so it levels out the. Okay, so that's the rear suspension. So when you're starting out, if I rode with the OEM rear airbags for about 3 years, and I think that, you know, while you're trying it out, you can certainly keep them on and use them that way. It's actually a pretty nice system because it allows you to lower and raise the rear, to do things like load gear into the car, to level you out when you're trying to get a level spot in a campsite, or if you're towing something. Those airbags actually work pretty good. And if you're trying to clear an obstacle, the raising the rears when you're going at low speed, it also helps lift your GX. So those airbags actually come pretty handy, but I ended up replacing them. We did the coil conversion. And in the front, when I bought this rig, it already had it has the Bilstein. Oh, let me see if I can go underneath here. It already had the Bilstein 6112s, and this particular kit is actually number 46 227 287, and that comes with a standard 600 linear or pound force per inch, and that's actually a really good spring rate for an empty unloaded GX470. I mean, the only weight I have is the skid plates, which are aluminum, the toe points, and the apex toe points, and the bigger wheels. But other than that, there's really no weight on this, other than it's a heavier car than the 4Runner, and it's in par with the V8 4Runner. But that shock and spring is a really good combination for this GX470. Now, at the time when I got my upper control arms, again, the upper control arms allow me to move the wheels a little bit forward so that they fit better. And at that time, this was probably not too expensive, and I mean, they were a little bit more pricey than the lower end ones, but there wasn't too many available back in 2017. Now there's a lot of different options, and a lot of people get the SPC ones, but you do need to consider getting upper control arms to make your wheels, push them forward a little bit so they're not sitting too far back in that awkward position. So I think that's a must-have as well. You can't really do the lift and the bigger wheels and stay with your stock upper control arms. You do have to change them. So anyways, that's for the suspension. That's what you need to do, and really a basic 2-inch lift. And there's a lot of different options from Dobinson, from Bilstein, from Ironman, from OME, Old Man Emu, and there's a lot of other ones that I probably forgot to name, but there's a lot of low-cost options. I think IBAC just came in with their version of the basic suspension. So a lot of options. You just need to raise it about 2 inches, and that will get you enough clearance to put a little bit bigger tires. Now, one thing that people forget when they're doing all their upgrades is, what are you going to do with your spare? And as you can see, I'm running a spare under here, and what I did is the spare, when I got it, it was brand new, but it's only at 275 75 R17 spare. And but because it's new, when these wear a little bit, they're less than half an inch difference in diameter, and so it shouldn't be too much of a problem in case of an emergency when I need to use a spare. But I should really be having a spare that is the same size. It's just that underneath the truck, this one is a non-KDSS, and I can barely fit that tire. So if I wanted to fit a bigger tire, I would probably have to deflate it. But again, if I do go to the 33 by 10.5, I may put that 33 by 10.5 underneath there, deflate it to see if it fits. I'm not sure it will, but that's gonna be. I like to keep my spare underneath. I really don't want to move it around. Just like I didn't put a rear bumper. I don't think they're necessary, and I didn't put a front bumper either. All right, so moving on to, let's see, we've covered 3 items, so let's move on to item number 3. Item number 3. Those were the first 2. The first one was tires and wheels. Second one is suspension. Okay, number 3 would be rock sliders. That's, if you're gonna start adding armor, that's one of the first things I like to get, because if you get damage in the rocker panel, that's very expensive to repair, and that's an area that you can hit pretty easy with a big rock as you're crawling over it. So you know, look at your favorite rock sliders. At the time in 2017, there weren't too many options. There were some, but there's more options now, and you know, these ones are very popular, but I don't know if they're the best out in the market. But I have had a few scratches on them, and they do their job. I mean, they do protect the rocker panel. So I would definitely do that before I start doing skid plates. And then of course, number 4 on the list, it's not actually skid plates, but you know, once you get it lifted with bigger tires and you have your rock sliders, you're pretty much set. So at that point, the next thing that I have on my list as number 4 would be the recovery points. And in the back, I have a tow hitch D-shackle that just gets added to the receiver there, and I could probably take that hard shackle and put in a soft one that I carry with me, and that way I can be recovered from the rear and also from the front. There's a lot of talk about beefy recovery points, and I went with the Apex ones because they actually do attach to the frame up there. If you can see, there's actually a bolt there, and there's a bolt there that's attached to the frame. The toe points that come in this car, they're actually attached to a horn that is on a 90-degree angle from the frame. So the toe points are that come standard with the vehicle are not attached to the frame as most people think. That's not the frame down here. In fact, this is just like a horn that comes down off of the frame. So that's why I actually don't recommend that you just get beefier points that attach down here, because I don't believe this part down here is part of the frame. The frame is up there. So recovery, it's one of the, for me it's a top 4, and then top 5 would be your skid plates. So for me, I have these aluminum Rocksteady front engine and middle for the transmission, and I never got around to install the transfer case one. But I think a good option that I've seen would be getting the ARB one. That one looks like it's actually pretty nice, and you can get one that goes all the way to the back, so you can get the 3 sections. So that's it. I mean, that's what I would consider Oh, back on number 4 on the recovery points, you also need to, besides the recovery points, obviously you need to get your straps and your D-shackles. And I know that a winch is probably something that a lot of people also get, and I do think that that would be the next thing on my list in terms of recovery, would be to get a winch. And the way I would do it, I most likely would get it with a hidden winch, so that it'd be sitting somewhere underneath here in the front, and then I would hide it with my license plate. And the only other trail worthy upgrade that I wish I could do, but I'm not gonna do, would be to get a 8.2 rear lock differential, and that's the only other thing that I would do. But at this point, for just overlanding, I think that these 5 things that I mentioned today are the basic things that will improve your trail worthiness. All right, well, I rambled on for a while, and we'll see how this video turns out. I was also testing the battery on my GoPro, but hopefully some of these upgrades made sense. Thanks for watching.